For this first part of the RLCS 22-23 season, Gen.G have been the undisputed kings of North American Rocket League. However, over the past couple regional events, they've struggled just a little bit. Today, we're going to dive into their final regional match played in the quarterfinals of the Winter Invitational against Faze Clan to see what weaknesses Gen.G might be showing and what things they may need to fix if they hope to bounce back at the Winter Major. We are going to kick things off here in Game 2 of Gen.G's quarterfinal match against Faze, with Gen.G leading 1-0 in the game, as well as 1-0 in the series. Now we're going to be on board with Nolly here for this first moment, as we see him rotating back, and one of the first things we'll see is some rotational errors starting to pop up, as well as Faze starting to exploit some of what Gen.G likes to do on offense in order to catch Gen.G out. So if we go ahead and roll this forward, we'll see the ball come downfield. Now we've given Faze here a little bit of space as this gap has opened up between our last man back and apparently Jack and all three of Faze Clan that are sitting right here on the right side of the field. Now as Nolly here, he is sprinting back into net. The problem with him sprinting back is that this ball is going very, very slow at this point. So it's not going to get to the net quickly. Additionally, we also have a player prepared to defend the net should a shot come on net very quickly. So the fact that Nolly rushes back here as fast as humanly possible means that he's going to get to right around here and the ball is going to have moved to about here. So this means that once he gets here, all his momentum is just going to be totally killed. And he's just going to be sitting still and have to deal with the Faze attack coming at him without any momentum. If instead of rushing straight back to net like this, Nolly had instead taken a wider path and rotated around this way, then he would have been able to come into net facing the play, and when a shot or a pass came across, he would have momentum to be able to push forward and challenge it. Instead, he's going to be sitting here dead stopped, no momentum, and have to figure out how to defend this attack. So as we go ahead and play this forward, we'll see he rushes back here, Mist takes over the ball, and now Nolly comes to a dead stop. So now, apparently Jack is going to force Mist to do something by putting in a challenge, but this flick from Mist, and one, not on target, so it's a pass, and now Nolly has no way of trying to get into position. He's got to awkwardly back up, flip around, put himself up backwards to try to get in the way of first killer. And now this is where Faze generates a very smart play that looks like it comes out of Gen.G's book, because first killer, instead of just taking the shot and putting this ball on target, he's going to go, well, wait a second. I got Nolly pre-jumping. What about instead of shooting, I just put this ball off the backboard? Because now that takes Nolly out of the play. We look at Chronic, he's turning back into the net, getting prepared to defend a shot if it gets past Nolly. So if I put this ball off the backboard, it's going to open up a lot of space here for my third man to come rushing in and take this shot. And that's exactly what first killer is going to do. Goes ahead and pops the ball around Nolly, not on target. If it's on target, Nolly gets a save. Pops the ball around Nolly off the backboard. Chronic now stuck in an awkward position, has to try to rush into net to get the in and out save. And Mist is already in the air, putting the shot on target, and beats Chronic to the goal. But I think this entire goal really does just come down to that rotation from Nolly, as if he rotates wide, has momentum, he cuts the play off, and none of this is a problem at all. So now let's go ahead and fast forward to overtime, and we're gonna again be hopping on board with Nolly here for the start of it, as we go ahead and take this kickoff. So the kickoff happens pretty normally. Nolly's going to turn to the left here, and unfortunately, even though he sees first killer coming, there's not going to be anything he can really do to avoid this, as he just doesn't have any momentum, only 20 boost. He could try to flip out of the way, but instead he just eats the demo from first killer. I think he tried to jump right there at the last second, but it didn't really work out. Now, as Nolly comes off the respawn, we're gonna see what ends up being a little bit of a problem for Gen.G in the fact that first killer is gonna be a little bit of a menace. If we flip on over to Chronic here, he's also gonna have first killer breathing down his neck, and unfortunately, He also doesn't pay too close attention, and by the time he realizes it's coming, he doesn't take any evasive action, just kind of keeps driving forward, and First Killer takes him right out of the play. So what this does is it creates this massive gap between our first man pushing up on offense and our second man in rotation as we're waiting for Chronic to come off of spawn. This means that when apparently Jack gets this challenge with Mist, nobody is prepared to follow this up to maintain pressure for Gen.G, and this is what's going to allow Faze to inevitably break out. Nolly doesn't feel comfortable going for a challenge here because he doesn't want to get beat, leaving Chronic as the last man back off respawn, so he's just going to wait to see what happens. Now this is where we're going to have Nolly getting stuck in a very similar position to the first goal. So he comes off the wall here and he's waiting to see what Mist is going to do. Now Nolly is forcing into the midfield because he wants to be prepared to try to jump up to cut something off if he's capable of. He also does know that he has a teammate back behind him, so if he gets beat, it's not the end of the world. So he's going to go ahead and move into the midfield here and just be prepared to cut off a pass. He notices the ball gets boomed over his head, so okay, he identifies immediately, you know, I can't go for this ball, not a ball I can play, I should rotate back towards net. Now the thing we have to realize is this is a pass over to First Killer. With where we are and the amount of boost we have, if First Killer puts a shot on net that goes around Chronic, we're not saving it. If First Killer puts it off the backboard and double taps it around Chronic, we're not saving it. Based on this, we want to put ourselves in a position where we can preserve as much momentum on defense as possible so that we can be available to make a play as quickly as possible. In this situation, what that should mean is we are again going to take a wider rotation around this way and allow Chronic to go ahead and make the challenge and then be in a position to get to net with momentum so we can try to defend if need be. Instead, what we're going to see Nolly do is kind of what he did when we gave up the first goal, and he's just going to kind of go directly back into net and end up there, killing all momentum and stopping dead once again. So let's go ahead and see that. He rotates back into net straight, and now he hits the brakes. So now, like I said, if First Killer was going to double tap this, it wasn't going to matter. Nolly wasn't going to be there, it was going to be a goal regardless. So the fact that he's put himself in this awkward situation means that he's now in a very bad position to attempt to make a save, because he's going to put himself now facing backwards, and there's not really much of a save you can make here, because you can only defend one area of the net. Typical shoots right to the right of him, and yeah, nothing you can do about that unless Typical shoots right at you. Now, let's look at this in a bit of a different way, and let's now imagine that instead of rotating like this, we rotated like this. And let's just see what might have happened had we done that. So, okay, we go here, we're facing this way. Right about here, we're facing this way. We at least have some momentum to jump up to make this save, and we're facing the majority of the net where we have the best chance to make a save, instead of facing backwards in one place on the net where we can barely save anything. Not that this would have been an easy save regardless, but having this momentum to come across and being able to face the entire net so we can cover almost all of it would have been a big deal here, instead of minimalizing our opportunities by putting ourselves in a terrible situation, and the offense didn't really have to do much of anything. Now, of course, that was only one game, and one game a series does not make. So we're also going to take a quick peek here at game number 5, the game that eliminated Gen.G from the Winter Invitational. Now, when I first opened up this replay, I was like, wow, Faze played a lot of defense. Like, that's 8 saves on the board on the timeline there. Gen.G must have been putting on a ton of pressure. That is until I looked at the type of saves that Faze was making, and you know, honestly, it doesn't really appear that it was all that stressful, if I'm being honest. I just keep looking at all of them, and yeah, they're not really all that much of a challenge for the Faze defense. So you look at those and go, oh, okay, yeah, 8 saves, but none of those shots were overly threatening, so Gen.G might want to step up your offensive game there and create some more threatening opportunities like we all know you can. Of course, that's not to say that there were no opportunities, it's just that when it looked like we would finally have a good shot, yeah, we kinda just missed the net. So, unfortunate, bad shooting game does happen from time to time. But unfortunately, when you have a bad shooting game, you also need to rely on your defense. And, well, if we look at this goal that they're gonna give up in this game, it's not the best. And for this goal, we are going to once again hop on board with Nolly. Sorry, Nolly, it just seems that a lot of these plays, unfortunately, did not go too well for you. So we're gonna be chilling here, 3 minutes on the clock, we're gonna go ahead and push up and pick up this boost. And now this 50-50 between Sypical and apparently Jack is where things will spiral out of control. And this is a very simple play that does not need to happen. So what's gonna happen here is that Chronic and Nolly are both going to travel towards this ball, and they're gonna end up at the same spot on the field. And then a bounce that they're probably not quite expecting is going to occur, and it's going to lead to a bad time. So let's go ahead and see here. Ball pinches over. Now the important thing we want to look at is that there's really no immediate threat on this ball. Sure, First Killer is pushing up, but we have Chronic in front of us who's going to be picking up this boost. We have us behind him who can cover anything. This is again gonna look like an opportunity where Nolly might be cutting a little too narrowly across the field. Instead of giving himself some more space to give himself a better angle to play the ball, he is gonna try to go as fast as possible, as narrowly as possible, and it's gonna lead to a problem here. Because not only does this bounce not do what anyone thought, and bounce in a horrible direction, but we'll notice that Chronic and Nolly are now staring right at each other, and when you have two people trying to go in the same direction, you kinda end up having an issue, which is exactly what we'll see here as they run into each other and nobody can get back to the net to stop the shot from First Killer. This is incredibly easily preventable. Not a goal that you really should be giving up at all. If Nolly just rotates a bit wider here, yes, I know First Killer's chasing him, but if he rotates a bit wider, he can read this bounce a little bit easier and get that touch. I think this all just comes down to Nolly just making his life harder than it needs to be. Just for example, once again, if we were, say, over here, very possible that we're able to make this challenge, and we get out of the way of Mist, who's crashing in this way. I don't think Mist is going to follow us if we jerk off to the right, and at that point it's just an easy play to make on the ball whilst Chronic recovers behind us. But instead, we put ourselves way too tight on the play, give ourselves no time to react to a bad bounce. Chronic and ourselves are in the exact same spot, and that just leaves an open net for Faze. So in terms of the Winter Major, can Gen.G bounce back? Absolutely, it's going to be reliant on a couple of things. Number one, you need to realize that teams have been studying your playstyle. You were a team that caught a lot of teams out with passes that they didn't expect, making the extra touch, pulling the defense out, and leaving the net open for your teammates. And while your offense still catches people out, you need to be prepared for the other team to start to do the same thing to you. You need to start expecting the extra touch, because if you don't, you're just going to constantly be pulled out of net, leaving the net wide open for your opponent. Additionally, we need to eliminate these rotational errors. These are rotational errors that should not be happening. We need to rotate wide around the field when we do not need to be in net right in this exact moment. We need to make sure we're arriving to places on the field when we need to be there. That is one of the golden rules of Rocket League, just being able to arrive where you need to be, when you need to be there, with momentum to make a play. Because it doesn't matter if you're there if you can't save a shot or can't make a play on the ball. So it'll be very interesting to see how Gen.G move along in the Winter Major, so I am certainly interested to see what they do. Of course, if you guys do enjoy videos like this and other videos that I have produced, please consider clicking that bright red subscribe button right down below this video. It really does help me out a lot more than you guys realize, and I really do appreciate it. So thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. See you later, guys. And of course, if you're looking for some more Rocket League entertainment, might I recommend checking out this playlist right here for some more RLCS replay analysis. Or check out this video over here to see what mastery of Rocket League movement looks like.